personal finance class, and welcome to our online reality. I just want to start off by saying that this is not an ideal situation for any of us, and online classes can sometimes be more difficult than in-person classes, so I just want you to know that we're all in this together. If you've ever seen High School Musical, that song just keeps playing in my head because I want you to know that my expectations for you, especially this week, is to just become familiar with how to do classes online and come up with a routine for yourself. That way you are checking in daily and asking questions when you have them. I will be very understanding of you guys either emailing or texting, calling me when you need help. In fact, I encourage you to. If you need immediate assistance on anything we do in this class, email may not be the best form of communication. Texting or calling me will get you a response quicker. So I do encourage you to do that, especially if you need an immediate answer. However, I will be checking my email all day. So, you'll still get a response if you email me. It just might not be as quick as if you were to call or text me. That being said, let's talk about taxes. Yay! As I said before, a lot of what we'll do in the next couple of weeks, which it may be longer, could be 6 to 8 weeks, but for now we're just going to focus on the next couple of weeks. Everything that we do will be in Google Classroom. So I have posted a couple of announcements that hopefully you guys have been paying attention to, but the main thing is the classwork. And in the next couple of days, you have 3 assignments that I've scheduled for you. That sounds really scary, but these are really laid back and should not be too much of a challenge for you to complete. The last 3 that you'll see here will be next week, and there may be more tacked on to that as we go, but I just want to see how this week goes and the next couple of days go. But first, your first assignment for the week will be comparing tax forms and their purpose. So again, for the next couple of weeks, we will be talking about tax forms. With this assignment, what I want you to do is first you're going to read the purpose. It's going to give you a purpose of all these different tax forms. And what you're supposed to do is match the correct tax form. Here at the bottom are all the different tax forms that we'll focus on to the correct purpose. So if you think number 1 is a 1040, then you will write 1040. However, we don't know the different tax forms. So the purpose of this video is to go through the different tax forms. And again, you can do your own research if you don't want to listen to me talk for the next, I don't know how many minutes. You can do your own research online. However, in this video, I will give you some important information you will need to know about these tax forms, and it may help you complete future assignments maybe next week and throughout this week. So this is an important video for you, although you do not have to listen if you do not want to. The first tax form that we will talk about is Form 1040. So you'll also see that I give all the information about these tax forms here. If you don't want to listen to me, but it might be beneficial for some of you to hear me talk about it instead of just having to read through all this information. So here is Form 1040. This is an official document that U.S. taxpayers can use to file their annual income tax return. This will be completed every April by April 15th. This form, as you can see, is very complicated and includes a lot of information that you are expected to fill out. It's divided into sections, as you can see, all these different sections here. And these different sections are where you can report, your income, your deductions. That way you can determine how much you owe as a taxpayer to the government if you didn't pay enough in taxes in the previous year. or in an ideal situation, how much of a refund you can expect to receive if you paid too much in taxes. I don't want you to focus too much on this form right now because we will actually revisit this form when we talk about filing your taxes, another super exciting topic. The next form is the 1099, another super complicated form. This form is a record that a person or entity gave or paid you money. That is not your employer. So for example, I have a savings account, and this year I received a 1099 because I gained interest in my savings account. So I was paid interest by my bank. So my bank sent me a 1099 stating that I received payment from them in the form of interest. The payer usually has to generate the form, so my bank had to generate this form, and then it sends copies to you and the IRS. There's several different types of these forms, as you can see. Several different types here. Freelancers often get 1099s from their clients, such as like a freelance photographer. They reflect the money the client has paid to the freelancer. Just because you receive one of these tax forms doesn't necessarily mean you owe taxes on this money. You might have deductions that offset the income, for example, or all of it. It might be sheltered based on characteristics of the asset that generated it. So my 1099 form, the amount of interest that I gained in my savings account is not enough that the government will make me pay a lot of taxes in. So there's one example. It all just kind of depends. If you had stock and you were paid dividends, that you would get a Form 1099. Form I-9, let me get this pulled up. You will receive this form anytime you start a new job. You must fill this out to prove that you are eligible to work in the United States. When you are filling this out, you'll need your U.S. Social Security number, your email address, your date of birth, all of those kinds of things. You will also have to have some forms of identification besides maybe your Social Security number. But this form is strictly to prove that you are eligible to work in the United States. And this first page you fill out, and then this back page, your employer fills all the rest of this out. So that is Form I-9, pretty simple. Form W-4. So again, whenever you get hired, this might look familiar to a lot of you because anytime you get hired for a new job, you fill this out on your first day. This lets employers know how much money to withhold from an employee's paycheck for taxes. It includes information like your Social Security number, your marital status, and your name and address. Okay, so let's talk about why are there so many pages in this W-4? Well, actually, page 1 is really all you should be concerned with because this is the only page that you will hand over to your employer. Page 2 just includes instructions on kind of how to fill out that first page. Page 3 compromises the multiple jobs worksheet and deductions worksheet, which will make more sense when we talk about what the heck is on the W-4. And then finally, page 4, which is a set of withholding tables that you will use in conjunction with page 3. So let's look back up at this. First step of a W-4 is self-explanatory. The only thing that might be less straightforward is step 1C, which is where you need to select your filing status. Your filing tax status refers to how you file your taxes at the end of the 2020 tax year. So if you're single and don't expect to get married this year, you'll file single, so you'll check this box. If you're confused about this, you could always check your taxes from last year and see what your previous filing status was. And assuming no significant life changes occurred or are expected, you'll likely file taxes the same way. If, however, you get married and you plan to file jointly, then you'll have to ask your employer to fill out a new W-4. That way, the IRS knows your situation has changed. The beautiful part of step 2 is that you only have to fill them out if they apply to you. And if they don't, you get to skip straight to step 5. So you'll complete this step if you hold one or more jobs at a time, or if you are married filing jointly and your spouse also works. So that doesn't really apply to any of you. So when you get this W-4 form for a job maybe that you're working this summer, you get to skip this step. But let's say you do have to fill out this step, or maybe a parent wants to know how to fill out this step. Example, your household only holds 2 jobs in total and both have similar pay, then you would check 2C. So you would check this little box over here and proceed to step 3. Step 3, like step 1, is relatively simple. If your income will be $200,000 or less, $400,000 or less if you're filing jointly with a spouse, then you follow the steps listed in the form. So the steps right here are, let's assume your household's income will be around, let's say $300,000. You'll be filing married and jointly. You have 3 kids under the age of 17, and you also support your elder mother financially. Under this example, your total for step 3 will be $6,500. This is because you have 3 qualifying children, so 3 times 2,000 is 6,000. You also have another dependent, which is your mother, and you can multiply that by 500. 1 times 500 is 500. 6,000 plus 500 is 6,500. Simple. Section 4 is an optional section that is for various things that an employee may want to account for when considering their withholding. The first area includes option A, which is other income not from jobs. So this is where you would report any additional income that might not be subject to withholding, like retirement income or dividends that you would receive from stock. Section B, is any deductions, and this line is for deductions other than the standard deduction. This includes all itemized deductions like mortgage interest, charitable contributions, and maybe even student loan interest. Remember that in general, the standard deduction reduces a taxpayer's adjusted gross income to arrive at a taxable income. The greater the standard deduction or itemized deductions will help reduce the amount of tax due. So the 2020 standard deduction is around $24,000 for married taxpayers filing jointly, and then for a single person it's around $12,000. And then for married people who file separately. Just so you know what B is all about. For C, this includes any extra withholding that an employee would like withheld each pay period. And then step 5 is probably the easiest part of this entire form, which is, well, for some people, to give your signature and date. So we have one more form that we're going to discuss, which I will make a separate video for because we'll discuss this actually next week. This won't be one that we get into this week. So Form W-2, I'll send out a video right after this to explain that, but don't worry about it too much until next week.